but logging in. I will be demonstrating some things for you in Canvas today. So you're welcome to follow along with me in your own Canvas courses. As you are doing that, well, before you get into doing that, you will need to log into Canvas, get through some of those Duo things and authentication and login stuff. So we recommend to take this moment right now to go ahead and log in and get authenticated in Canvas before we really get started into the good stuff. But while we do that, while y'all do that, I'm going to reshare my screen. Okay. While you do that, my favorite way for you all to log into Canvas, where there's tons of different ways, but my favorite way to tell you to get to there is to go to lms.tanu.edu, and on the top right-hand side, clicking that login button and logging with your TAMU ID and password. The reason why this is one of my favorite ways is because I take this time as well to kind of talk through our website too. Our website changes all the time, as you may have seen over the course of the past almost a year that we've had Canvas implemented at Texas A&M. But we have this course management tab that I want to highlight. This tab has a lot of information on how to manage your course in Canvas. Making the move. So if you're making the move or know someone that's making the move from eCampus to Canvas, we have a lot of different resources here that we've provided and curated for you all. And we also have some resources for how to copy Canvas materials between courses for future semesters after we Blackboard exits. Training and support, you're probably already familiar with this page since you are here today on our training session, but we are always updating it. For example, if you want to receive weekly training emails to get up-to-date information about that, you can sign up and get a weekly training email right here on our page by clicking sign up here to get added to our distribution list. Also, we have links to our office hours. We have our course migration consultations, Fridays Live. We are offering things. We're just working on what we are offering at this time. So come back next week to see what we're offering specifically, but this is going to be updated weekly from the time being as we exit off of eCampus and move finally onto Canvas. Other sites, if you ever want to see like a site map, so every single thing we have on LMS, because it is a lot of information, you can come to our site map and find easy to find links here too. So that's what I have for you to talk about, lms.tanu.edu. But now let's get into this training. So we're going to talk a lot about best practices and setting up your course, setting up your account, making sure that you have everything that you need in your arsenal to really set up the course, your Canvas course, in a good way that your students have an equitable and positive experience. So we will talk about profile settings, we will talk about notifications, we're talking about some preferences for your course as well, and then communication tools that you can use in Canvas. This is very, oh, actually, I should have copied this and I didn't. What I'm going to do is, this is not going to let me copy. I'm opening this up and I'm going to send it in the chat, I promise. But we have created, and I sent in the chat just now, a few checklists that we would like for y'all to use and keep in your arsenal as well. Not just today, but always, all the time. I won't worry about that one for now. Always, all the time are these checklists that we've included. Let me see if I can find them really quickly. So they should be make the move. I'm testing my own knowledge right now of the LMS site too. No, we don't have the mobile one just yet, but we do have the course design checklist in many places in our website, but we are working on uploading the mobile design checklist. But what I sent is this course checklist. This is what we've considered, and with help of Canvas too, and also just some general best practices for online learning, some design components that you may consider including in your course. So we're linked out by an essential, something that's standard, best practices and adds value, and then exemplary and it elevates learning with this key back here. So we recommend going through this best practice design components checklist to kind of see how your course is ranking up to this too. So that's something that we're giving to you free of charge today in this training. By the end of the session, I'm going to try my best to get this design checklist too, since that was not working for me earlier. But we're going to talk a lot about, so let's go into our Canvas course from now on. We're going to talk a lot about some best design practices and just some overall concepts of Canvas and what you can do within Canvas to really set it up and talk through with your students about how to use it best. So as soon as I log into Canvas, I'm here in this landing page. This is what we call the dashboard. On the left-hand side, all this right here, we have what we call the global navigation. So this is going to be accessible to you anytime you're in Canvas. You can always click on any of these links and get to where you need to be. Within here in your dashboard, you have these course cards. And then on the right-hand side, you have to-do areas if you have some upcoming things to do. This is my perspective from both enrolled as a student and enrolled as a faculty member in courses. So as a student and you as an instructor, you will see things here on the right-hand side that say grade, right? And this means that I have to grade things in my course, but I also see things that I need to turn in as a student. I need a lot of grading to do. That's what this is saying. And I only have one thing to do for my student. As a student, so something that we recommend to get your students in the habit of and kind of navigating through to telling them is to make sure they're referring to these to-do areas in their course. The way that you get this to be done in your course when you're setting it up is making sure you're adding due dates. That is probably the number one thing that I can give as advice to you as faculty is to add your assignments, your quizzes, anything that you have in there with a due date attached to it. This due date will populate on the student side and really elevate the student experience to make sure that they're getting the best course design because it shows up in so many different places. It shows up here. I will see what's coming up for me as a student. If I scroll all the way up and go into my calendar, I will see it. If I go into a course, let's see, like Diana's course, if I go into there, because I'm a student enrolled in this course, I will see it on the right-hand side. I will see this so many different places. So your number one tip that you're leaving with today is to try to make sure you are adding due dates to everything in your course. Another tip that I'm going to give to you all on that is we have a lot of people and a lot of faculty that like to give assigned reading that needs to be done by a certain date, right? This is something that we have started to see more common as an approach, especially with how we went to remote instruction and online learning. It was harder for us to have that assigned time to read. So I'm going to show you a quick little hack for a course design best practice that I recommend trying out. What I'm doing is I'm going into pages and I'm going to go to all pages. This is the page management area that you may be used to, or you may not even know exists depending on how you design your course. But I'm going to locate a page that I use where my lectures are going to be added. So for example, the one that's provided for me in the template is a good example. If I click on edit on the top right-hand side, and I scroll all the way down right here, you can add a to-do option on pages as well. You don't have to only attach due dates to assignments that you need students to submit to. You can also add a due date to a page that you want students to take action on, where they don't need to actually submit anything, but they need to do something. So a good example for this in course design is maybe I want them to watch this presentation or read a chapter by Friday, right? I just think that's extremely important that they do it by Friday. I can then add this right here under this add to student to do. And when I check that box, I can select a date. And let's pretend I'm designing this for my fall course. Select a date and then save. And then this automatically will then display to my students whenever they are in student view, well, in their student view. It's going to show up in their calendar. So just for demonstration, I think I put September 3rd on there. Yeah, to due date, September 3rd. I would then see this on the calendar for September 3rd as well. And I'll demonstrate that for you in just one moment. This is an easy way to add a due date to something that you want students to do, but they don't need to turn anything in, right? Let's go to September 3rd. And see right here, it does have this demonstrated on my calendar, and it shows up to the students in their calendar. If the students download the Canvas app, which is a very common way for students to intake their courses nowadays, they will see it as a notification there. It's just a very easy way for you to get your students engaged with your content in a rhythm to understand your content the best way that you think should be digested. So that's one thing that I want to make sure that I highlight today for y'all. If you leave with anything, make sure it's that you leave with add due dates to your anything you need students to do, right? Another thing I want to talk about this dashboard really quickly, so we talked about this area, is that students can rearrange their courses manually, however they choose to do so. You can do it as well. So, but this doesn't follow along with the students. Everyone's dashboard is personalizable. Students also, you and faculty also have the ability to nickname courses, change the color, move them however you wanted to, so it's personalizable for them and yourself too. Another option we recommend, and this is something that we always recommend for ensuring student success, is if you click on these three dots right here on the top right-hand side, there is this list view. So if you're more of the type of person that needs to have things like in a to-do list, think of this as a to-do list. I don't have anything obviously upcoming because we have a lot of vacation time planned, but I would have seen things that are past. So see, this is something students can do. This is a preference that you may want to talk to your students about if you ever have the chance to. So card view versus list view. Another thing that students really love to talk about is that list view. So that's what I wanted to talk about there on the dashboard. Next, we're going to go into your profile and settings. On this top left-hand side, right below the A&M emblem, I see this account. I want to go ahead and click on that. And then from here, I want to go to settings. One thing that you may choose to do, and this is something that I see happen a lot in the beginning of the semester, especially when you started getting acquainted with your students, is teaching them also some good practices with online courses. One of the #1 things that you need to do as an instructor to humanize yourself is to add a photo of yourself too. If you don't see a photo, it's just going to see your initials, and that's going to be very robotic to your students. So how about we humanize yourself a little bit more with that and really add a profile picture so that they, whenever they do see you via Zoom, or maybe you are going back face to face, they can kind of put a picture to the name and everything so they can get to know everyone. That can be done through clicking on this icon right here, this pencil icon, and then uploading a photo or taking a photo directly here. So that's another thing that we recommend you doing as a faculty member, and also encouraging your students to do. Maybe the first week of classes, you have an assignment or a discussion or something like that where you have the students upload a photo for their course, for their Canvas account in general, if they don't have one already. That just helps a lot with you getting to know their face too. The other thing that you may want to see is on this right-hand side, there's this ways to contact. Make sure that you have the correct information for the ways to contact you. Maybe you have a different email address you want to add, and you can definitely add this here too as necessary. And then that's just that covers the profile. The next option I want to talk about in settings is this notifications area. With notifications, there's two types of notifications you can really set. You can set them at the global level, which is right here. This is your account level notifications. you can then change and modify the individual course level notifications. Think of this as the overarching umbrella. I want to set this for all of my courses like this, but then I can individualize the course notifications depending on the tools that my instructor uses or that you would use too. So this is something that we recommend for you to do as a faculty member and to get your students also into as well. Kind of talking through, make sure you have these notifications turned on daily or this type of notification turned on weekly, because I like to use this tool weekly or whatever that looks like for you in your course design. But the way you would change it is, for example, due dates. If I wanted to change the frequency of how I got this notification, I can click on this icon and then I can choose whatever preference I would like for myself. The most common thing we recommend is we can't force the students to change anything specifically, but the common ones that we recommend for students to get are announcements to get immediately, maybe some grading to get immediately, any of those. I'm trying to think of anything else that's extremely important. Some other ones might be as well too, but maybe a course content notification of a weekly summary just to see if you updated any of your content. But these are things that the students can do in the beginning of the semester and then at the course level as well. So this is how to get to it at the account level. To get to it at the course level, you're going to click on courses and then you're going to navigate to the course. And on the right-hand side on this menu, you will click on View Course Notifications. Students have this option as well too. And here you go. Now I could modify the notifications, like they trickled down basically from the account level, and now I get to modify them per my course level here too. So this is something that you can do if you chose to do so. I do recommend reviewing these just to make sure that you are getting the best possible experience for yourself, because we don't want 10,000 emails of notify immediately on all of these. But we do want some notifications. So just reviewing that and then asking your students to review it timely too. Okay, we talked about how to set up your profile, talked about your email, notifications, setting up notifications. And now we're going to give y'all the chance to take a turn at this. If you haven't already, we do recommend to try uploading a profile picture, updating that email address, and then reviewing those notifications. Just take a look to see what it is you have signed up for, make some changes. We're going to give y'all, I'm going to give y'all, that shouldn't take too long. Let's give you all 3 minutes to take that turn. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now. And I'll take some time to answer them. But for now, we're going to take a 3-minute break for y'all to complete this. So there's no questions. All right, I'm glad y'all were able to get through that. If you weren't, please let us know how we can assist you with it. Courses. Okay, let's talk about courses a little bit together. So I already talked about managing the courses by moving them. So if I go back to my dashboard, clicking through and moving them and reorganizing them. But maybe the courses I have here, I maybe need to get rid of some of them. Maybe you need to add some other ones, right? Just something to note is that the dashboard can hold at a maximum 20 cards. So 20 of these little boxes can be at your dashboard at any one point in time. So what may happen is as we start adding more shells throughout the terms and semesters, you may find that they get reorganized or maybe are off your list here. No worry, you're not removed from them more than likely. You'll probably just need to go to your courses tab on the left-hand side and then go to all courses. And y'all will see something crazy here is I have a bunch of courses here that y'all don't see on my dashboard, but definitely are on my account. So always come here and see see if you still have that course. And then another tip I will show you is this favoriting or unfavoriting. If there was a course that you wanted to favorite or unfavorite, so that means that I want it to show up on my dashboard, you can click the star or uncheck it. And mine isn't working right now, it looks like. But if you star the course, it will then show up onto your dashboard. There it is. and then, yeah. So let's say for funsies, I'm going to add all of these courses onto my dashboard just to demonstrate what it does. Go back to my dashboard. And those courses were now added onto my dashboard. So that's another thing that you can do to ensure you have what you need on your Canvas dashboard to make sure you're getting where you need to go as fast as you need to get to it. I think my mouse battery's dying. We'll get through this. Okay, course settings. Now we're going to talk about some course settings for course design best practices. So I'm going to go back into my course. And then on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side of my course, I have the course navigation. I'm going to click on settings. And from here, we're going to look at all of the settings that we have available to us in our Canvas course. I could choose an image card to help my students identify my course. This is considered a best practice to help personalize it, because if not, then you're going to see what I saw on my other page, which was a bunch of colors, no personalization. Maybe I have 4 or 5 same EHRD courses, and it's going to take me a while to discern the course card from each other. So it's probably easier to personalize that course card. We do have a template that you can utilize in the template. We can give you more information if you're curious about that, but personalizing that course card is one thing we consider a best practice in design. Other areas we consider to change and kind of look through is if you go to this more options down here, showing the announcements on the course homepage. We don't recommend to go more than 3, I think is a good number. But I always rely on 2. So they could see the one previously and then a brand new one that shows up. Showing the course homepage with the announcements is a good way for your students to get that announcement that they got in their email probably or on their phone as the first thing they get into your course, so that they're reminded of something to do. It's just like that reminder message, like, oh yeah, I need to submit this thing, or else they're going to have to go back into their email, back into their announcement. But if you put it on their homepage, it's the first thing that they see. Other things you may choose to do. So for example, we do not recommend to hide totals in the student grade summary, just so that your students can be able to truly see where they are at any one point in time in your course. We do understand the need to do this from time to time, but as a best practice and recommendation, we want to have the students set up for success from the very beginning. So as long as I do my grading and I adhere to my grading scheme, students can know at any one point in time how they were doing. And the reason why this is also so important is, let me show you what it looks like. This is something that you can only see from the student perspective. I shouldn't have gone into grades. I needed to go to home. So I'm going to go into student view really quickly and demonstrate something that I can see in my course. If me and my student view, or a student in a course, goes to grades, there is this, so right here, under this score area, there is this what if analysis, right? So you can view your grades based on a what if analysis. So for example, this is only from the student perspective, but students can then see for the student experience is week 3 quiz. I can click on this and I can say, oh, okay, I need to get a 40 on this exam, on this quiz, and this brings my grade up, right? Oh, if I get an 80 on this exam, that brings my grade up to that, but no, I need an A in the course. So what grade do I need to get an A in the course, right? Something like that. That's how students can use the what if analysis to their advantage. And the only way they really get to see that is if you leave that option turned on or turned off, not hiding the student grades summary from them. That's another good practice that we recommend when you're designing your course. is to make sure you have that assignments, your weights, your totals, all of that set up before your students get started with their assignments, and that you get started with grading, so they can really see where they are at any one point in time in your course. Dashboard, we already went through this part. Course navigation, this one very quickly, just to go through this. What we recommend is to review the course navigation and the way it is displayed on the left-hand side. Anything with an eyeball and a slash through it means it is not visible to students, or there's no content in there. So for example, if I hover my cursor over announcements, it tells me there's no content, whereas files tells me it's disabled. So if I go to settings, and then right here under the navigation, I can modify my course navigation. So let's say I don't want new analytics, but let's say I used, I can't find one. Oh, Gradescope. Let's pretend I use Gradescope in my course. I can add this to my course navigation here, maybe below modules. Let's move Zoom up top. My media site is for me only, but then I can also rearrange some of these too as I see fit. And this is something that we recommend doing before your students have access to your course, to ensure that they're getting everything they need on this left-hand course navigation, and then clicking on save. Okay, that is that part. And now we're going to talk about communication in Canvas. There's lots of ways that you can use communication in Canvas. For example, we discussed already that course homepage, well, the homepage in Canvas, the dashboard, but also you can use the course homepage itself for communicating with your students. The way we would consider this to be a best practice is think of this as your start here section in a course. What is it that your students need as soon as they come into your course to be able to see your course, right? One thing that we recommend doing is modifying these tools. We have provided some resources in the template for you that you can utilize for these tools themselves to modify them, really personalize them. Also modifying these module buttons a little bit further so that your students can easily come into your course and get to module 7 that week. The reason that becomes extremely important is, as you may have seen with a 15-week course, you may have 15 modules, right? I don't have that extensiveness in this course to really fully demonstrate it. But if a student comes into their modules page and then they come all the way and they have to scroll down, it can be cumbersome. You could also use the collapse all and expand all if you needed to button. But let's set our students up for success in our design by utilizing that template that we've provided and linking these buttons to places in within your course to have an easy access place. Another thing we've been seeing and kind of talking to faculty about is, if you're familiar with eCampus, and you know in eCampus on the left-hand side, you can really customize those course navigation links to put quick links, basically. We don't have that option in Canvas for a good reason. It's mainly for consistency and accessibility purposes. But if you're really used to those quick links, think of this now as your quick links area. Maybe you create a button for exams. Maybe you create a button for specific resources that you have in your course that you used to have in your previous course. Creating those buttons and really use that home page to give students a landing page to get into your course is extremely important for that course design. Next, the calendar. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and when I was demonstrating the to-do area. So just to reiterate and kind of expand upon that, is making sure you're putting on the due dates in your calendar. And then the other really big thing is, if you utilize, so students can also utilize this as their own personal calendar if they wanted to. They can use it in the agenda view, in the week view, in the month view, backwards. But they probably will rely on this depending on the color that is associated with their course to see how they're doing. Another cool feature that you could do is, if I click on this plus icon on the top right-hand side, I can add manual events. So maybe they're not assigned to a to-do module, or maybe they're not assigned to anything specific. I can add a manual event for my students, as well as adding an appointment group. Appointment groups are something that we can go into detail further, but think of this like a sign-up sheet of sorts for meetings, right? We've seen appointment groups used heavily for like office hours or one-on-one meetings with the instructor, where you can set up a sign-up sheet in your calendar for students can sign up for meetings with you. It's another really cool feature you can use as a communication tool with your students. Next, the Canvas inbox. So if I go back to my Canvas course and I click on this global navigation menu for inbox, I am able to locate all of my inbox messages. So here I will see all of the messages I have. I can also compose new messages, select a course, maybe my favorite courses or all of my courses, and send messages to my students, right? Once I'm in the to area, I can use this and send it to everyone in my course. Now let me see. All right, I can send a message to all of my students. I can add an attachment down here. And then another just best practice or tip that we may do and recommend is recording an audio or a video comment. I won't do this right now because I am using Zoom to use my camera, but adding a video or a audio comment really humanizes you as well too for the students, especially if you have an online class. Synchronous or asynchronous, to show them like your voice, show them your personality, really get to hear the experience that they would in a face-to-face course as they would normally. So that's another thing we highly recommend, to do these every once in a while so that you can have that experience with your students. And that is all I have for y'all. We still have about 10 more minutes, so let's talk about some training opportunities, and then we're going to open it up for some Q&A. So we have some Canvas course design best practices. This is the training we have right now. Next is Canvas course construction for student success, as well as assessment options for your Canvas course. We have some resources available for you.
To learn more, please visit lms.tamu.edu. Thank you.